It is time to examine another Deluxe battle deck, this time being the Ninetales EX. This is a play level 2 for anyone wondering. So, as is always, whenever I do one of these videos, I always leave this little disclaimer at the front that I don't actually play the TCG super often, and I am by no means an expert. I am a collector first. So, this video is primarily for entertainment. If you're looking for someone who's an expert to do a deep dive into this deck, you've come to the wrong place. This is a first look, and we will be examining the cards, seeing what I think the deck can do, but if you play the TCG actively, you probably know more than I do. With that said, what is this? Like, I just opened it, and everything is just, like, falling out. Like, look, the coin, not in the coin slot. This box, did not do well in shipping. Is this coin supposed to be... Yeah, it just sits there. I feel like something's missing. Like, there's supposed to be another layer here or something. Because this doesn't feel right. Anyways, it comes with a playmat, as you've probably come to expect. Of course, it being a crappy paper playmat that I'm sure very few people ever actually use. But there it is. And on the back, you have a kind of poster-looking thing. Then we have a little breakdown of the deck here on a kind of advertisement-looking piece of paper. And on the other end, you actually have the breakdown for the Zapdos deck. So this side is actually acting as an advertisement, like, hey, if you like the Ninetales, maybe you'll like the Zapdos. I have already done a video on that deck if you are interested. Some reflective condition markers. Not condition markers, hit markers. Then we have reflective condition markers. And you've already kind of seen it, but here's the Ninetales coin. And, okay, yeah, it's a really nice looking coin. Okay, that was like a little hair. Yeah, there is a little imprint going on in here if you look, because their coins are never printed that great. Defects are super common. In this case, it almost looks like some glue got, like, around the center of its face. Kind of ugly. Like, you can't feel it. It's not physically there. It's just like a printing defect. Then we have our promo card. Well, maybe promo cards. They're probably not going to be promos. And yes, this is from the Mew down there, which is Pokemon 151. We have the Ninetales EX. So it can do Heat Wave, which is 30 damage, and it leaves your opponent with Burn, which can be nice to, I guess, help you over time. I don't know how useful Burn is when it comes to, like, really high health mons, though. Right? Like, if you have 260 health, Burn really isn't going to do that much. But maybe it's a better thing earlier on. Anyways, you have Mirrored Flames, just does 80 damage, and if you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, it deals another 100... Okay, no, it doesn't do another 100, it just does a straight 140 damage. So it doesn't stack with the 80. Oh, no, wait, it does. Yeah, I should mention that I'm dyslexic, and I mess up words. Yeah, it is more. So yeah, it would do, math. What is it, like 220 damage? That's pretty wacky. So I've seen these kind of cards before. I think they've been popping up more recently where it's like, oh, if you have the same number of cards as your opponent, do this extra thing. You have to have some cards in here that can control the number of cards that you and your opponent have in order to make that effective. Otherwise, you're just basing your deck entirely around luck. But you do have 2 and 3 of that Ninetales EX in this deck, and there's the code card. And now we go to the deck box itself, which, you know, exists. It is fire, it's covered in fire, has a fire symbol there, so we know when this is sitting on a shelf in 10 years that whatever's in this is fire. I hate it. I hate the way that they do these. Put Ninetales on the side. You used to do that. You used to be good about that Pokemon Company. Anyways, interesting. A lot of times I feel like their decks fill the box pretty well. This one seems to be a bit less. Granted, there were 3 cards, you know, promos that were not in the box. But anyways, we have a Vulpix, 60 health, 10 damage, and Confusion Ray. So you can instantly confuse with a basic Pokemon. That's not too bad. So far, we've seen Confusion and Burn from the only 2 cards that we've seen. We might have a, you know, status effect deck going on here. Now, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it on the bench, and shuffle your deck. You have Judge. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck, then draws 4 cards. Youngster, shuffle your hand to your deck, draw 5 cards. So, a bit different from Judge. Professor's Research obviously discards 7 cards. Every deck has that. Earthen Vessel, what do you do again? You can use this card if you discard another card from your hand. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards. Reveal them and place them into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. not too bad, so you have to throw something away in order to use this. Then you get 2 energy cards in your hand. You can't, like, assign them. It's not bad. I can definitely see why it's added a lot. But I'm also certain that there's a lot of decks where this would just be more detrimental than useful. Ultra Ball, yep, you have to discard 2 cards, and then you can search for any Pokemon and put it in your hand. Haldean Tauros. So this is, I guess, it doesn't say it here, but it is the Blaze form, or Blaze Breed is what it's called, right? Because it's like Aqua Breed and Blaze Breed, I think. It's interesting that it doesn't say that on the card. You think it's like Haldean Tauros, like parentheses Blaze, but whatever. Raging Hordes, 20+. This attack does 10 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, so you want to take more damage. Actually, pretty dang fitting for Tauros. And then Blaze Dash. Discard an energy from this Pokemon. So no matter what you're doing with him, you are benefiting from his pain. If he is damaged, you deal more damage with that. Or, if you just want to hurt him by taking away energy, you can do a lot of damage. Really not bad for it being a basic, being able to do 120. Not bad at all. We have Energy, then Energy Retrieval. Yep, put 2 basic energy cards, discard pile into your hand. Super Rod, shuffle up to 3 in any combination of your Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. The Pal Pad, shuffle 2 Spore cards from your discard pile into your deck. So, as expected with any modern Pokemon deck, half of your trainer cards are just deck cycling. Like, that's how, like, every deck works anymore. Obviously, you have some more unique things. Or do we even have more unique things? Are these all deck cycling? An Earthen Vessel is. It's specifically for energies, but it's still deck cycling. Huh. Hey, the first non-deck cycling! Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench. Of course, but Switch is also a very common one to have. Nest Ball, searcher for basic Pokemon, put it in your hand. You have Shack, search your deck for up to 2 evolution Pokemon. Reveal them and put them in your hand. We have our Vulpix again. We're probably getting down to all repeats. I am very interested in this Tauros, though. I really like the gimmick of that card. I wonder, though, if it's actually considered competitively viable or not. That would be, if someone can answer that question for me in the comment section, I would appreciate it. Yeah, looks like we are just down to all of our duplicates, although, yep, things are changing. So we've seen this before, and I actually do think it was the Zapdos deck that did this, where they actually separated the deck between Scarlet and Violet cards, and then Sword and Shield cards, and you can drastically tell the difference because of the borders. So if you play modern Pokemon, you will be well aware of the code in the bottom of the card. In this case, it is G. I don't know which letters are in rotation right now, but if your letter down in the bottom left corner of the card is not in the active rotation, it means that that card is not tournament legal, right? It's too old, it can't be used in tournaments. And so obviously down here, we have F. So in a way, they're kind of organizing this for you. They're putting it in a way that when you buy this deck, you're like, okay, so when F is no longer usable, the rest of these still will be. This part of the deck will still be usable. I don't know if that's why they did that. I couldn't tell you, but it's just interesting to me. So next we do have our Ponyta with Takedown 50 damage. This Pokemon also does 10 damage to itself. Not too bad, also pretty similar to Tauros. Then Rapidash. Heat Boost. Once during your turn, you may discard a Fire Energy card from your hand in order to use this ability. During this turn, your Fire Pokemon attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. And then you can also go at him with the 60 damage. So of course, if you discard an energy card from your hand, you will now be doing 90 damage with that attack. Although I'm not sure that's exactly how you'd want to play it out. If I had to guess, you want this to be benched. You want to use the Heat Boost and then hit them with a stronger attack that on another card that you can then add that 30 to. Imagine this Mirrored Flames. You're already doing 220 if you have equal cards in both hands. Now, you're doing 250 damage. On a Ninetales, that would mean that the only thing it would need to take out a 260 card health would be 10 damage. And if you've already hit them with Burn, that's it. Although I guess if you already hit them with Burn, then they would have already been at less than 260, so whatever. You understand. I'm just theorizing here. We have Zissou. Draw cards until you have one more card in your hand than your opponent. That could be a good way to try and equal out hands, right? You draw until you have one more than your opponent, play one, and now you're equal. But I don't know. Ponyta, Rapidash again, Zissou again, Ponyta again, Rapidash again, Zissou again, Ponyta again, and Jubilife Village. Once during each player's turn, that player may shuffle their hand into their deck and draw 5 cards. If they do, it ends their turn. That's also an interesting gimmick. So you play Jubilife Village, the stadium, so it stays on the field. You and your opponent can use it whenever you want. And your opponent's like, hey, that's useful to me. My hand sucks. So they do it. They draw 5 cards. They probably play 1, right? Then it goes to your turn, and you go, hey, now I can do the same thing. Draw 5, use 1. Now we're equal. And now I can use Mirrored Flames. So you can basically use this if they're not paying attention to how this deck is built, especially around that one ability of Ninetales. You can use this card to kind of bait your opponent into equalizing your hands for you, so you don't have to actually do it. So in this way, you are kind of controlling their hand as well, if they fall for the bait. So now I know if I'm playing against a fire deck that I theorize might have a Ninetales in it, if they play a Jubilife Village, don't use it. But that is the Ninetales EX Deluxe Battle Deck. Overall, pretty interesting deck. I would say play level 2 is fitting. I wouldn't say it's nearly complicated enough to be considered a 3, but trying to do like the hand balancing thing certainly puts it above a 1, including that Taurus being more gimmicky as well. I still don't care for the play level thing. I wish they would do it out of 5. But yeah, as a relatively amateur player, the idea of trying to balance hands seems a little much for me. But this deck, like, everything in here makes sense to me. Of course, all of the deck cycling, but aside from that, everything in here makes sense to me. And while I'm not sure, I doubt it's competitively viable. But even if it was, I'm not sure if this is a deck I'd want to necessarily dedicate myself to. But I would certainly be interested in trying it out and spend some time with it. But now it's time for the bonus card of the day. Explanation right down there in that corner. And we are actually getting a bit lower on cards. Just have a good amount left. But we have a special one this time. So this is a code card. It's probably already been used. Feel free to try it, but it's probably used. But the code cards are in here to represent the last part in that little description thing. My girlfriend does some art things with cards, and I don't want them destroyed by putting them in that box with the others, so I do this. And we're going to be looking at another one of my favorites because I love when she does reverses. We have a Growlithe. So this is one of the cards that she's been doing a lot of lately, where she uses resin to basically redraw over the card. And as you can see down here, she does a really good job of tracing out the hollow or reverse effect at the bottom. One of my favorite things about modern, like Scarlet and Violet reverses is this pattern down here, and this makes it stand out so much more. And of course, it is actually a layer of resin, so if you were interested, you could actually feel it being bumped up there. Then of course, on the card art itself, it's also the same with our Growlithe. So he has been popped forward, basically into a different layer, and all of these little, like, yellow pollen things have also been popped out, as you can see, including the one that's on his tail. So technically, that right there is the highest part of the card, because that was falling in front of the Growlithe. You can even see, like, his hand is more popped out than his head. Well, at least more than his neck. It kind of goes back up again when it gets towards, like, the nose. Yeah, it's a very, very nice looking card. I need to start, like, trying to find duplicates. So whenever she does these, I can be like, here's what the original looked like. But if you liked this little art piece and you want to see more of it, make sure to leave a comment down below. Let her know what you think of it, because I guarantee you she's going to be checking them comments. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, all of that fun stuff. I suppose it only makes sense if I send you guys off to the Zapdos EX Deluxe Battle Deck as well, since that was the companion piece to this. And there's also going to be a playlist on screen of all of my Pokemon videos if you feel like binging. Thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully I will see all of you next time. Goodbye for now.